This week, YieldMax Group C will be going X and paying out. I wanted to look at the chart on these just to see where they're at and if any of them looks promising. Hello my friends, this is Legend. So YieldMax Group C will be going X this week, and in Group C there's CONY, FIAT, MSFO, AMDY, NFLY, ABNY, PYPY, and CVNY. So I just wanted to kind of look on the charts and the graphs just to see if any of these make sense. Are they at a support, resistance, or are they just setting still or going down? So let's slide over to the Webull chart and check it out. Alright, so here we are on the Webull chart, and before we get started, if you don't mind hitting that subscribe button, be much appreciated. So here on CONY, we have a little bit of a support line here. It's not much of one. It has just been kind of going down. Looks like we might have touched it once here and now we're at it again. It's pretty weak support line just due to the fact that we did break this one here. This is that purple line where we did touch it here and then we did touch it here, and then when it broke through, now we're in uncharted territory. So we could continue to go down or we could go up. Really, with the market continually to go down, we may see this continually to go on down. Hopefully we can get a little bounce off of that line, but again, that is a pretty weak support line there. And if we look at coin, which is the underlying for CONY, you can see that for the 1 year chart here, overall, looks like it's kind of basically trading down a little bit to sideways. Just taking it from the start here a year ago to now. Might be a little downward slope, but it's not much. It is just slightly down. But again, we've had a lot of valleys and a lot of hills on coin. Been very volatile. But if it goes down below this 146.12 here, then again, we could be in uncharted territory and we could just continually to move on down with coin. Right now, we are sitting about right here, and I can draw a little line right here. As you can see, we have hit it here, we've hit it here, and now we're hitting it again. So according to that, I'm hoping to see a little bit of a bounce off of this 174, we'll just call it 174 even, support line here. If it can bounce off of that, maybe we can get more of an upward movement on coin, therefore helping CONY push on up. FIAT, for this one, this is shorting coin base. So it's the opposite basically of CONY. And as you can see, that's been staying within this range. Now, it was going down until the market basically started falling, and then it started trading sideways. And it's staying within that range of about $6.77 to about, say, $9.50. It's actually hitting that top right now. If it breaks on out, that would of course mean that coin is going on down. So not really a whole lot to talk about on this one, except just the fact that it is going sideways and it has been paying out about 60 cents in the last few distributions on average. MSFO, this is using the underlying of Microsoft, and as you can see, this one here has been just kind of going down. Tech has been kind of getting hit, so therefore MSFO is going down. We are at basically a very weak support line here. It did touch this and went up, and it looks like it's coming back down, but like I said, that's just one touch. So not much of a support except the fact that that's just the bottom currently. So if we look at Microsoft here, as you can see, before we were on this nice upward trend, just going on up. And as you can see here, then it started trading kind of sideways, bouncing around a lot, and then it fell down, right? So it's back down here, and you could draw a line here across this bottom right here. And you can see where it hit here and it hit here. Now, it could continue to go on down, but it did hit that same spot over here when it was actually trying to break above it. So over here is more resistance. over here, we're hoping it's more of a support. So hopefully we can hit that and continue to move on up. Now that line there is about at 377, just rounding that off. And that's on Microsoft, which of course, that is what MSFO uses to write their calls against. So we'll see. Does it use that as a support line and move on up, or does it just make a new low? We'll find out later this week. So AMDY has just been on a downward slope. It has a low of $7.48, and it did move up just slightly, and it's coming back down. I don't know if we'll actually test that or just keep on going down, because like I said, that's just a very weak support. It is more along the lines of just the low. It would be no different than drawing a line right here, right? Hitting this where it went up a little bit and then broke down below it, right? Because it's done it several times, right? Draw a line and went above it, broke down below it, went up it, broke down below it. So it's just continually to move down, and that's just mostly because AMD, which is the underlying of AMDY, and you can see that it was trading within this little range right here for a little while. And then of course when it broke down, then it became a little bit tougher to get back up in there, and then it fell on down. And now it's hit a low of about $94.73. We're sitting at 103.22, and AMD is just really having a hard time getting a foothold in the market, as NVDY is just a beast of a company, but they're still trying to get a piece of that market. Just not sure NVDY is willing to give it, but we'll see. Over time, I'm hoping to see AMD get some of that market share, move on up, and be somewhat of a competitor, but we'll see. Here we are on Netflix, and they use the underlying of Netflix. So as you can see, Netflix here hit a point here, and it's hit the point here at that $15.40 roughly. So it's hit it once and twice there over the period of about 8 months. So it touched it here, went on up, came down. It's touched it again and went up. And we can see we had a big red day on Friday. But will it actually turn around and head back up? I'm hoping to get back up and see if we can't break above that high there. But we'll see. Netflix is another one of those companies that has just been on a run. And if you look here, here's Netflix. And if you look at the 1 year chart, you know, it was sitting at around that 542, went as high as 1,064, so almost doubling its share price, and has since come down slightly, but still, what a run for Netflix. So that's why Netflix here has been trading up and somewhat sideways, right? Staying within this range here. And if the YieldMax ETFs can stay within a range, that's awesome, because that way you can just gain your distributions and you don't have to worry about the price of the stock plummeting on down. If it can stay within that range, that would be the best scenario in my books, outside of the stock just moving up and the distributions being huge. But if it can stay within the range and pay good distributions, then that's a good deal. Netflix paying 40, $1.07, 50, 86, 78. So it's kind of been a little bit all over the place, with maybe about, say, 80 cent to 70 cent average, roughly. Just looking at the couple here. But again, if that price can stay within that range and protect that price from eroding on down, that's a good deal. ABNY, this is off of Airbnb, and it looks like it was pretty much trading sideways for a while, and this one only started dropping right in this area here, and it's dropped down to about $12.17 at a low, and we're sitting at $12.50 now. This one here is one of the ones that came out at around 20 bucks, and it pays a distribution of 48, 40, 42, 39. So roughly it may be about 40 some cent on average from the last few distributions. So again, this one here has kind of just been trading sideways. It did fall since around that mid-February, fell down, and we can see if it can recover, or are we going to continue moving on down. And again, I believe it has to do a lot with the market, and we'll see how the market does, and does it pull everything else down with it. PYPY, again, another one here, pretty much kind of trading sideways, paying out those distributions of about 37, 60, 42, 60, 58. So maybe average around about 50 some cent, with a high here of 1974 and a low of 1312. That was actually made on Friday. So Friday it made a new low. And that is where I have got this somewhat of a weak support line. I did touch it here and it has now touched it here. And we can see if it'll bounce off of it, or is it just going to continue making a new low. Only time will tell. CVNY. A CVNY has not been out that long, so there's not a whole lot of data here, but you can see that we basically were at that somewhat of a resistance line right here where we touched it, came down, and somewhat of a support line right here. Again, not a whole lot of data, and these are both pretty weak because there's no history to it. Not much for the CVNY, but for now, it looks like if it can trade within this little range right here between $31 and $40, if it can trade within that range and pay out a distribution, the one that it paid out and the first one and the only one that's paid so far was $3.91. So if it can continue to pay something similar to that and stay within this range, wow, I mean, that's great. But we shall see. Again, the market is just being rough and tough. So it is pulling everything down, and along with everybody's portfolios. But on a down market, for me, that just means it's time to start opening your eyes for other opportunities to buy things at a low, especially on your blue chip stocks, your big companies, the ones that aren't going anywhere, right? Buy shares in those while they're low, and then give it a year or two, and I don't see how you could not be happy with the outcome of that, assuming the market has turned around within that period of time. Now, for me, the S&P will turn around, and it will continue to move up. It is down right now, but for me, that gives me opportunities to buy stocks that I wouldn't necessarily be able to get into, or to be able to buy them at a discount before they move back up. But like everything else, make sure that you are mindful of the stocks that you're in or that you're buying, keeping in mind that we are in a down market currently, and just make sure that you have conviction on that stock, ETF, or whatnot, so that you can weather the storm and sleep at night. Because if you're worried, that means that you have too much invested into one company. And that's never a good thing to do anyway. Always try to be diversified. It helps you sleep at night. Keep a good foundation on an ETF like VOO, which is what I use. And I think in my mind, if I do that and I follow that, then overall I will be all right. But you have to decide on what's right for you. I can't tell you what to buy. I can't tell you what to sell. And I can't tell you to even get into the market. You have to do what you need to do and how you feel comfortable in doing. But with a down market, it can bring you down. No pun intended. But give it some time and these big boys will turn around. We just haven't seen how the YieldMax ETFs will respond to such a down market like this and when it turns around. Because YieldMax and all these other high yield ETFs are fairly new and have not been through a correction or even a possible crash just to see how it's going to react. So with that in mind, make sure that you're well aware of how much you are invested into each item and each thing and each stock, just to make sure you're diversified and you feel comfortable in your portfolio. That's what I'm doing. So I think I'm going to wrap it up right there. If you don't mind hitting the like, share, and subscribe button, be much appreciated. And as always, I am not a financial advisor. This is not financial advice. Please do your own due diligence before you get into any stock plays. And until next time, legend out.